Okay, I am going to go step by step through the FL-150, also known as the Income and Expense Declaration. You should all be aware that this form is needed for many different things in the family law field. You are going to need to complete this form and attach some documents to it when you are doing your declarations of disclosure in a divorce. And you're also going to have to complete this form and attach some documents. For example, pay stubs, or if you're self-employed, you must attach a Schedule C from your taxes or a profit and loss statement. So, but you're going to need this form every single time you ask the court for any financial orders. So if you're completing a request for order for child support, you need an FL-150. If you're asking for spousal support, you need an FL-150. If you're asking the court to order the other side to pay for some of your attorney's fees, clearly that's a financial order. You need to have an FL-150 attached to your paperwork when you file the paperwork. Anytime you're doing anything that has to do with requests for financial orders of any kind, you're going to need this form. So here we go. I'm going to go step by step through this entire form. I'm sorry if I go a little fast over some of the parts, but I'm going to hit every single box and explain some details as I go along. You'll always be able to pause this and go back and check this out anytime you want. So I'm going to have some information in here. It's just fake information. But so don't worry about the information that's in these forms right now. All right, let's start at the top. Just like every form that we use, you're going to need to put your name and address at the top. So you're going to put your name at the top. Then you're going to put your address. On the one on the screen, if you can see the video, if you can see the form, you're going to see the names there twice. You don't have to write your name twice. It's just the computer software that we use actually puts it in as the client's name and then also as the attorney. So if you're representing yourself, my software puts it in twice. Don't worry about it. You just need your name once, your address, your phone number, your fax number. If you want to have a fax number connected to your case, you don't necessarily have to have that. The next line is your email. You don't have to put your email address in there if you don't want to. The next line is attorney for, and if you're representing yourself, again, put your own name in there. The next box down, it says Superior Court of California, County of, and then there's a blank. So if you're filing in Los Angeles, put Los Angeles. If you're filing in Orange, put Orange. If you're filing in Stanislaus County, put Stanislaus. Then you put the address of the court, and just like every other form, it's real easy. Just Google the address for the court that you're filing in, and you can get that court address. Also, again, gotta fix this spelling of orange in the software. Okay, and then you're going to need to put the name of the branch, name of the court. Just when you Google the address, it'll also give you the name of that court. It may just be, Superior Court of California, County of Stanislaus. I don't know. It could also be Central. It could be Southeast. There's a Southeast court in LA. There's a South court. There's anyway, just put the proper name in there. The Orange County Family Law Courthouse is Lamoureux Justice Center, for example. All right, so then the next line is line for petitioner. Again, the petitioner is the petitioner throughout the entire case. Doesn't matter who's asking for something or not asking for something or who's responding. The petitioner is the same petitioner from the very outset of the initial case, and the respondent is always the same also. If you have a case number, you're going to put it in on the case number to the right. Then we start with the major parts of the form. All right, so under section 1, employment. Under A there, list your employer's name. If you're self-employed, put the company name that you own. Then address. Put the business address for your company or for the business you work for. Then you're going to put the employer's phone number. Under occupation, put your title. Under E, date job started, put the month and year you began that job, or you started the business, or you began doing whatever it is you're doing at this company. This company. So if you've been in the business of printing for 20 years, but you've only been at this printing company for 18 months, you're going to list the date 18 months ago when you started this company. All right. If you are unemployed, at the top where it says employer, you're going to write unemployed. Then there's no address, no phone number, no occupation. Or if you want to put housekeeper or excuse me, anything. Mom, I've seen everything on here. If you're self-employed, just make sure you put what it is that you do. All right, so let's see. And then unemployed, if you are unemployed, put the last date that you were employed, the last date you worked at whatever job you had last, okay? I work about blank hours per week. So if you work 20 hours a week, put 20. If you work 40, put 40. If you are an attorney and you are working for a firm and you're working 70 hours a week, you may want to consider not writing 70 because then you could be held to the standard of actually working 70. So just keep that in mind when you're filling that out. I'm not asking you to lie. I'm not telling you to lie. In fact, I'm never going to say that. But you might not want to be saying that you're comfortable working 70 hours a week is all I'm getting at. All right. And then the next one is very simple. H, I get paid blank gross before taxes. So, and then there's a per month, per week, and a per hour box. So if you get paid per hour, mark the per hour box and put in the bigger blank space to the left how much you get paid per hour before taxes. If you get paid per month, mark the per month box and put in there how much you get paid per month. All right, gross, before taxes. We always use before taxes. All right, folks. Now we're moving on to my age is, and it has 30 in here just because I have 30 in the initial software, and it automatically loaded, populated this space with 30. So don't worry about that. Put in your proper age, whatever your age is. B, I have completed high school or the equivalent. If you have, mark yes. If you have not, mark no. If you did not graduate high school, but you only got through 11th grade, you're going to mark no and put 11 over here. If you did graduate high school, all you're going to do, or you got a GED or an equivalency, just mark yes. And then C asks number of years of college completed. If you've completed 2 years, put 2 in there. If you have a degree, mark the degree and then mark over here AA or whatever you've got. If you don't have a degree, you can put 2. I've seen everything. I've seen people that had 5 years of college but no degrees. All right, so then if you, it says D, under D, number of years in graduate school. So if you've got, down here, let's say you've got 4 years of college and you've got BS, and then you have 3 years and you've got an MA, master's degree, then you'd mark that like that. E, I have professional vocational licenses. So if you have a vocational or professional license, then you're going to want to mark that box and you're going to want to put the license to the right. If you don't, you leave it blank. If you have vocational training of some kind, actually, I'm sorry, I may have said vocational licenses. I mean occupational licenses. It's pretty self-explanatory right there. But if you have vocational training, you're going to want to mark that box and over in the right, explain what vocational training you have. All right, down to 3, tax information. You're going to want to mark the box on the far left next to A. I last filed taxes for tax year, and if you last filed for If you haven't filed in a bunch of years and the last year you filed for taxes was 2012, mark 2012 and write 2012 in there. If you filed for last year, then mark last year's date. If it'd be 2017, 2018, 2019, whatever last year's taxes were, mark that. Your filing status is B. If you filed single, mark single. If you filed head of household, mark that. If you filed married filing separately, there's a box for that. And then most commonly, there's a box for married filing jointly, and it says with, specify name. That's probably the other party in this case, but put the name of the person that you filed taxes with in that box. And then I file state tax returns in what state? Probably California, since we're doing California forms. But you could have moved here from Oregon, and the last year that you filed taxes was also filed in Oregon. So you'd mark other and then put Oregon in the far right. D says I claim the following number of exemptions, including yourself, and you're going to mark that to the right. So I don't know what that is. Only you would know what that is. So put that number in to the right. Section 4, other party's income. I estimate the gross monthly income of the other party, in this case, to be, and you're going to put a monthly amount in there before taxes. So if you think they make $60,000 a year, then that'll be $5,000 a month. If they make $120 a year, then that'll be $10,000 a month, that kind of thing. If it's $100,000 a year, it'll be $8,333 a month. And then below that, you're going to put in there why you have that information. So we lived together for 10 years, and I saw his paychecks every week. Or he just told me last week what he's making. Or I saw, I know his boss, and his boss told me how much he's making. I talked to him a month ago. Whatever it is. Okay. So then the next box, if you need more space to answer any question on this form, please attach an 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper and write the question number before your answer. So that's very rare on this particular page to need that. But if you do, that's giving you instructions to take a separate sheet of paper and write any additional information you need down there. On this front page, I can't imagine what you might be adding. I would recommend that you don't add anything extra without getting legal advice. If you think you need to add a page on that, why don't you call and get a little free advice from an attorney before you do that? Okay. Below that, you're going to put the date that you signed this form, and you're going to write your name below this. By the way, I want to note that you can handwrite these forms. I should have said that at the beginning of the form, but you're allowed under California law to actually handwrite these forms as long as it's legible. If it's not legible, you might have a problem getting it filed, and certainly you might have a problem with the judge someday when they're actually looking at the form if they can't read it. So you can handwrite it, but just make sure it's very legible. All right, so you're going to date it, you're going to write your name below that, and then you're going to sign your name to the right. Keep in mind, anytime you're signing these forms, they are likely to have this sentence above your signature. I declare under penalty of perjury, under the laws of the state of California, that the foregoing or that the information contained on this page and all pages in this form and any attachments are true and correct. So make sure that you're putting the correct information down. All right, let's move on to page 2. At the top, again, you're going to put the petitioner's name and the respondent's name and then the case number. Now, there are an awful lot of lines on this form, and I'm sure there's a few judges out there that absolutely require you to fill in as much of these that apply. However, very few of these boxes usually apply. So I'm going to start with the top there. 5, section 5, income. For average monthly, add up all the income you receive in each category in the last 12 months and then divide by 12. So under that first line where it says last month, it's asking you what your salary was gross before taxes for last month. specifically last month. Then in the average monthly, it's asking you to add the last 12 months up and divide by 12. So seems pretty simple. If you get the same pay every month and you've been working at the job for more than a year, that number is going to be the same as the number to the left. However, if you just started that job 5 months ago and you were unemployed or you were on state aid of one form or another before that, then your income will have been lower before you got this job likely. And so you need to add that up and then do the average. If you were making more money and took a job making less money, obviously that average monthly income is going to be higher than the number to the left, what your present income is. So just make sure that you understand the difference. Last month is what you really actually made last month. The average monthly is the average for the last 12 months. All right, if you had any overtime pay, you need to put that in there. If you don't get overtime if you get the same overtime every month, which would be unusual, it's the same, then your average monthly would be the same. But do the same here. Add up the overtime that you've had in the last 12 months, divide by 12, that's the average. If you had commissions and bonuses, do the same thing and put the average to the right. Public assistance. If you are on public assistance, you're going to want to mark currently receiving, and you're going to put your income in that box. If you are receiving partner support, either from a domestic partnership or from a different marriage, well, hold on, there's boxes for both. So if you're receiving spousal support or domestic partnership support, you're going to mark these boxes here on E and F. If it's from this marriage, you're going to mark the from this marriage or from this partnership box. And if it's from a different relationship, a prior relationship, you're going to want to mark from a different marriage or from a different domestic partnership. Okay. Pensions and retirement fund payments. So if you're retired, or you're already receiving, say, military pension or something, or you've already retired as a state employee or something, and you're already receiving a pension from somewhere, that's where that goes. So you're going to want to put in what you received last month. And again, you're going to want to add up the last 12 months, average that, and divide it by 12 to get the average for the last 12 months on that also. Social Security retirement, that is also the same thing. What you made last month and the average. If you're on disability, you're going to want to mark either it's Social Security disability, not SSI, because that's above under H, or state disability, SDI, or from disability from a private insurance company. Again, you're going to mark what you made last month from that, and again, what you made on average for the last 12 months. Unemployment, if you're on unemployment, that's where this goes. If you're on workers' compensation, workman's compensation, that goes there. Again, the average is to the right. If you are receiving some other income that's not listed above, for example, military BAQ or royalty payments, etc., you're going to put that there. Now, this does not include dividends or interest because that's below. It doesn't include rental income because that's under 6B. It doesn't include trust income. That's 6C. And then some other income under 6D. So if you can't figure out where to put it under 6D, some other income. And then, of course, put the average or the monthly and then the average. All right. Number 7, income from self-employment. So if you're self-employed, you're not going to put your income in the boxes above unless there's something else that applies, like, for example, a pension, retirement income, something like that may apply still. But you're going to put self-employment income under 7. All right? So income from self-employment after business and all, after business expenses for all businesses. So you might own 2 or 3 businesses. You got to add it all up. What does after business expenses for all businesses mean? All right. So let's say, for example, you're a pool man and you go around and clean pools and repair pool equipment and that kind of thing, and that's your job. And you're self-employed. You own the pool cleaning business. You are going to be able to write off your gas, your mileage, a portion of your house payment or your rent because you probably work your business out of your home. You're probably not going to be able to write off the entire car payment because you probably use that vehicle for personal use also. But that's what we're talking about. Certainly any advertising costs, expenses. You got to buy chlorine, you got to buy acid, you got to buy conditioner, you got to buy other things that you need, you got to buy parts. Those kinds of things are all legitimate, reasonable business expenses. So let's say your income is $70,000 a year, your gross income, but you spend $30,000 a year on chemicals and equipment and gas and part of your rent and those kinds of things, and those are legitimate business expenses. You can knock that $30,000 off the top and you'd put in here $40,000, or what you made last month. Let's say it was $3,600 or $3,200, whatever it is, and then on the right average you do the same thing. So add up the last 12 months, divide it by 12, and put that in there. You're going to put on the next line, I am the owner as a sole proprietor, or you're going to mark a business partner if you have a partnership, or other. If it's being run as a corporation, you're going to want to put other, and then off to the right you're going to put corporation, a C Corp or an S Corp. You're going to want to write that in there. Then number of years in this business. So we're talking about this business. So if you just started this pool business 2 years ago, you're going to put 2 years. If you've owned this business since you were 18 and you're 58 years old, then go ahead and put in there 30 years. I think that's the math. Okay, and then next line is the business name of the business. Pretty obvious. Type of business. And the business we're talking about here is a pool business, pool cleaning business, whatever you want to do, whatever you want to call it. Be specific though. Okay, then again, like I mentioned at the beginning of this tape, if you are self-employed, you must, and it says right here, attach a profit and loss statement for the last 2 years or a Schedule C from your last federal tax return. Black out your Social Security number. Judges are very serious about that. They do not want your Social Security number going into any court filing because your court filing is public information. So black out your Social Security number. If you have more than one business, you're going to need to provide this very information for each of your businesses. All right. 8 is additional income. So if you have received a one-time payment, lottery winnings, inheritance, something like that, you're going to want to mark box 8, additional income, and then specify below what it was from and the amount as it notes here. All right, 9. 9 is change in income. So if your financial situation or your income changed significantly in the last 12 months, you're going to want to mark that box, and you're going to want to explain it in the larger space below. You don't need to get into too much detail here. Just, became self-employed and my income dropped, or just started working after 18 years. Something like that is fine. Some simple explanation. If the court wants further explanation, trust me, they'll ask. If the other side wants more information on it, trust me, they'll ask. I also want to warn you. I'm going to take a second just to warn you here. This form, and I mentioned this in the intro, this form, the FL-150, the Income and Expense Declaration, is the most cross-examined form in all of California forms. So, at least California family law forms. That's my experience. You need to be careful with this form. You want to be honest on this form. If you put in a pool business making $70,000 a year and you write $62,000 worth of write-off, so you're saying that your entire yearly income is $8,000, you may have problems with that alone. But let's go a step further. Let's say you claim $8,000 worth of income on $70,000 worth of gross income, but you have 2 vehicles, you have a house payment of $2,800 a month, you have 2 cell phones, one for private use and one for your business, and you go out to dinner at nice restaurants, twice a week, clearly your income is more than $8,000 a month. You need to understand that, for example, on the next page, we're going to get into your expenses. And if your expenses are greater than your income, obviously you must be either loading up your credit cards and living off of credit, and building up and living off of credit and debt, or you are getting money from some other source. Friend, mother, father, somebody's giving you money. Either way, that's going to look suspicious if you're making $8,000 a year, but your expenses are $35,000 a year. Okay, so just keep that kind of thing in mind. By the way, I just mentioned something, and I want to let you know this. Under California law, if you receive a regular gift of income every month, say, for example, your parents give you $2,000 every month, or let's stick with that one. Let's say your parents give you $2,000 every month, and it's the intended purpose is for you to help pay your bills and that kind of thing. That $2,000 a month, that's income. That counts as income. And you're going to be held to that. So let's say, for example, you're the payor of child support or spousal support. That $2,000 a month, that's going to go towards income that you receive for the purposes of paying child support or spousal support. So keep that in mind. If you are receiving $2,000 a month from your parents and you're the receiver of child support, you're going to get less child support because you're getting $2,000 a month in additional income. So keep that in mind when you're filling out this form. All right, let's move on to 10 deductions. Number A is required union dues. If you have union dues, make sure you put in how much you paid for union dues last month. Keep in mind it's usually paid every other paycheck, or on the 1st or on the 15th. It usually doesn't come out of every single paycheck. So look for that. B is required retirement payments. For example, and we're not talking about Social Security, FICA, 401k, those kinds of things. We're talking about, for example, if you're a teacher and they automatically take retirement funds out of your paycheck. They're mandatory. You never get that money paid into your hand. That's what we're talking here. So you're going to want to put that amount on that line. Medical, hospital, dental, and other health insurance premiums. This is the amount of the premiums that you pay per month. So you're going to put that in there. The next one is child support that I pay for children from another relationship. So if you are paying for child support for children from a prior relationship, that amount goes in there. Spousal support that you pay under a court order from a different marriage, that goes in that line. F is partner support that you pay from a court order. That's domestic partnership payment, just like spousal support. That goes in there. If you're paying it, trust me, you're going to know you are paying it. Necessary job-related expenses not reimbursed by your employer. Now, if you're self-employed, that information does not go here. That's going to go up under in the box, the section 7. This is talking about, for example, if you're a police officer and the agency that you work for example, makes you pay for your own weapon or your own Sam Brown or your own whatever it is that you have to buy, but then that's the money that goes in here. That's the expense they're talking about here. All right, we're moving on to assets. This is important because these next few lines are looked at by a court when they're determining if somebody's going to have to pay attorney's fees or if somebody might receive attorney's fees. And there's other reasons that this is looked at. But you need to be honest in these boxes. Again, you're signing this thing under penalty of perjury. So 11A asks how much cash and checking accounts, savings, credit union, money markets, and other deposit accounts, the total amount of cash that you have. And it's not just liquid cash. It's money that you can liquidate from a bank. From this, for example, would not include a CD. because a CD is something that you can liquidate easily. It's actually going to go on the next line, but it's not liquid right now. So this is just money that you have in the coffee can in your refrigerator or between the mattresses or in your bank accounts. Okay, now we're going to go on to 11, assets. Keep in mind, this is really, really important, a really, really important section, because the judge is going to look at this section if somebody's asking for attorney's fees, or if somebody's asking for attorney's fees from you. These are real assets. Now, at the same time, remember, you're signing this form under penalty of perjury, so everything needs to be honest. I just want you to be aware of how it comes into play. 11A asks for cash and checking accounts, savings, credit union, money market, and other deposit accounts. This is asking for what liquid cash you have available. If you can go to the bank and withdraw $6,000, that's liquid. If you have money in a coffee can in your cupboard, that's liquid cash. If you have money in a suitcase or in your safe, a lot of people keep cash in a safe, that counts as liquid cash. You need to put the total on that line to the right. Stocks, bonds, and other assets you could easily sell. This would include stocks, bonds, a CD, things like that. You might get hit with penalties, but that's where this would, the amount of money would go for all of those assets. The next one is important. C literally asks for the value of the remaining, all of the rest of your assets added up, minus what you owe on it. So, for example, if you own a home and that home is worth $600,000, but you owe $400,000 on it, the equity in that home is $200,000, and that 200 is going to be counted in this box. If you have a car that is that you just bought last week and you still owe $25,000 on it, but when you drove it off the lot, now it's only worth $20,000. There's zero equity in that car. The value of that car is zero. If you have a 401k and you've got $250,000 worth of money in that 401k, that gets added into this line. If you've got $2,000 worth of furniture in your house, that gets counted on this line. Everything else you have, other than the cash that you put under A and the stocks and bonds and other assets you could easily sell under B, everything else gets marked in C. Take a little bit of time and figure that out. It's worth taking the time to be correct in that number. If you're off by a couple $100,000, that's going to be either suspicious or certainly unhelpful. All right. And also, under C, real property is real estate, land, a house, a condo. Those are real property. Personal property is property that you can pick up and move. It's a computer, it's a couch, it's the refrigerator in your house, unless the refrigerator is completely built in, which would be rare that it could not be moved and is completely built in because they break down. So that's personal property. A dog is personal property, sorry to say. So you're going to name all the value of those. If you have real estate and obviously personal property. If you have a toothbrush, you have personal property. So you're going to mark both of those if you have real estate also. And then, again, try to be as complete and correct on that value as you can. All right, folks, we're moving on to page 3. Again, the top of each of these pages, you're going to put the petitioner, respondent, and the case number to the right. All right. Then 12, the following people live with me. These are people that live in your home. If you are still living with your spouse, you're going to name them there. If you have roommates, you're going to name them there. If your children live with you, you're going to name them there. If your children only live with you part-time, but you want to list them, that's fair. You can list them. If you need more room because you live in a house with 9 people in the house, then you're going to want to attach a sheet, an 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper, lined or unlined is fine. And you're going to want to put question 12 continued, and then attach it to this. And you're going to put the same information that's on here, but put it on that other sheet. You might want to put it under the same kind of columns also. So 12A, you're going to list somebody that lives with you. The next box is their age. How that person is related to you could be your wife, husband, partner, could be your son, daughter, could be roommate, could be girlfriend, boyfriend. That person's gross monthly income. You're going to want to list it there if you know it. If they have no income, put none. If you don't know their income, say you've got a roommate and the roommate would say, none of your darn business how much I make, you can put unknown. Then the next box is pays some of the household expenses. So if you've got a roommate and you share expenses, you're going to mark yes, even if you don't know their income. They certainly help you with expenses. If you're living with a spouse and they're not helping and they don't have any income, that's okay. Put zero income and put no. If it's a son and your son is 3 years old, clearly that's going to be not helping with the expenses. But list everybody there and put the appropriate information to the right and through this entire form, and we'll go through there. Okay, then 13, average monthly expenses. You're going to want to mark 13 estimated expenses to the right. Here's why I always recommend that. If you put actual expenses, you're probably not going to have the actual expenses. And I'll give you an example. One of these questions is how much you pay for monthly household groceries and household supplies. I guarantee you that number is not the same every month. So you're going to want to mark estimated. Now, another use for this form could be very helpful is, let's say, for example, you are presently living with your spouse and you are splitting everything up and your intent is to move out, and you're going to court and you're filling this form out because you're going to court asking for child support and spousal support because you need to move out. That's what the proposed needs box means to the right. So if that's your situation, you might want to mark proposed needs instead of estimated expenses. And then you're going to put in all these boxes how much you anticipate your expenses are going to be when you move out, what your proposed rent is going to be, what your proposed expenses are going to be needed for clothing or laundry and cleaning or childcare. Now keep in mind, you don't want to inflate this to some crazy number. It's going to be obvious that you're doing that. It's going to look like you're potentially greedy. Put real expenses in there. Now, I'm not saying to short yourself. If you're moving out and you're anywhere near my area and you've got 2 kids and you're moving out of a 4,000 square foot home and you're used to a $280,000 a year income, you're probably going to be moving into a 3-bedroom apartment, and that 3-bedroom apartment could easily be $3,000. And if that's what you expect your rent is probably going to be, put $3,000. That's what I want you to put, your real expenses there, your real proposed needs. Look, I've seen some folks that had 3 growing boys, and under household groceries and expenses, they put $1,800 a month. Absolutely believable. Totally get that. But be realistic with that number. If it's you and a 7-year-old girl, and the 2 of you really only spend about $750 a month in groceries, or even $400 a month, put 400 or 7. Put the real number there. It's going to be important that this number is, again, I'm telling you, this form, above every other form, is cross-examined and questioned and scrutinized and analyzed more than any other form in California family law. All right, so fill out all these spaces. If you have rent or proposed rent, you're going to mark that, and you're going to put off to the right what your actual rent is or what your proposed rent is. All right, so if you have a mortgage payment, you're going to want to put the entire mortgage payment monthly mortgage payment there to the right. And then on the next lines, you're going to mark approximately what the principal is each month. Again, that changes every month too. And the interest changes each month too. And then you're going to mark those. If you pay your property taxes separately, or whatever your property taxes are, this is asking for an average monthly income. So if you spend $6,000 every 6 months On your property taxes, that's $1,000 a month, and $1,000 goes on that line. Homeowners or renters insurance, put that in there. If you have maintenance and repair costs, if you own a home, I assure you, you have some kind of maintenance and repair costs go in there. Might be $200 a month, might be $400 a month, might be $50 a month on a brand new home where there's not much. Health care costs not paid by insurance. That line includes, it's not premiums, it's asking for, well, you can include the premium there, although there's another place for that premium. If you want to put the premium, you can, but this is really talking about meds, co-pays, those kinds of expenses. If you're taking money out of your pocket and you're paying a premium, a healthcare insurance premium, and you want to put it in there, go ahead, add that in there. Child care costs. This is monthly child care costs. If it's different each month or if it's different between summer and school, put the average in there. Groceries and household supplies. So I mentioned this earlier. You're going to put that number in there. That includes like soaps and shampoo, that kind of thing. E is eating outside the home. Remember lunches. Remember restaurants. If you sneak through McDonald's with the kids, every Saturday, make sure you include that on eating outside the home. I guarantee you there's a little bit of cost there. There could be a huge amount of cost there. Depends on your lifestyle. Utilities. This is asking for a total of gas, electric, water, and trash. This does not include cell phones or phones, home phones. It does not include your cable. The next line, G, does include telephone, cell phone, and email. And I realize that some telephones and email is connected to your internet, could be connected to your cable bill. Put it in there if it is. Laundry and cleaning, back to the top over on the right. H, laundry and cleaning, that's dry cleaning, those kinds of things. If we're just talking about laundry soap and detergent, those kinds of things, that probably falls under D, groceries and household supplies. Next line is clothing. That's an average that you spend per month on clothing. That's for your kids, you, yourself, all included. Education. If there's any education costs, that's going to go to the right. If your kids are in public school and don't have a lot, I guarantee you there's still some. You're spending some money on average each month to buy school supplies. Entertainment, gifts, and vacations. You're going to want to add that up. I get it. This number can be brutally high sometimes. I like to write includes Christmas under this because some people start saving for Christmas or start buying Christmas presents in July. So I like to average that in there. Keep in mind, you're going to probably go to a wedding or two every year. That's a gift. You're going to want to average that into this cost. If you take a trip to Vegas once every month, you're going to add that cost in there. You're going to do that on average. If you only entertainment you ever have and you never go on vacations and you don't celebrate Christmas, but you go to movies every other Saturday, you're going to put a couple $100 a month in there for that. I guarantee it. So keep in mind everything that you do for entertainment, gifts, and vacations. And at that number to the right is a monthly average. All right. I, auto expenses and transportation. This line does include insurance, gas, and repairs. If you travel by bus or you have some other Uber, you can average that and put all that in here. This line does not include a car payment. That goes below. M, insurance. This is life insurance, accident insurance. Do not include auto insurance, home insurance, or health insurance. So this is like life insurance or accident insurance. Private disability insurance could go here. Now, if you're not actually paying for it, let's say you've got a life insurance, a term life insurance through your employer, but your employer pays it, doesn't take it out of your paycheck, you're not going to put that in here. This is only money that you're actually paying. Savings and investments. N would include any money you're taking out and putting, aside for savings. It also includes money that's coming out of your check to go into a 401k or pension payment or whatever it might be. If they're taking money out of your paycheck because you're a teacher and it's automatic, that amount goes in there. It could be $700, $800, $900 a month. Whatever it is, put that in there. charitable contributions. So this could be tithing. It could be contributions or donations at other meetings or anything that you may do that are charitable contributions. If every single month you go through the closet and you stop. Okay. Now I am back to we're doing charitable contributions. Oh, all right, folks. This is if it's relatively obvious, but if you this would include tithing. This would include if you give a couple dollars a month here and there. If you go to meetings of any kind, any charitable contributions whatsoever. You're going to put that average monthly on the right there. Then monthly payments. Item 14 below. Okay, so so look at 14 below. 14 below is where you're going to put in installment payments, credit card payments, car payments, your auto insurance can go in here that you pay every month. Those kinds of things go in here. And then the total of all of these monthly payments, which is where you're going to put under amount for each of these, that total of those monthly are going to go up here on the line P. Okay. Then other is some other payment. If you didn't include your cable bill, you could put your cable bill here if it didn't go under G, telephone, cell phone, and email. If you've got some extensive pet expenses, you could put that there. If anything else, you've got other. If you need extra space, you can go to that extra piece of paper that you had, and you can put another line that says 13Q continued. And then put there, and then put the total, whatever that total may be, off to the right there. So let me give you a little more detail about the installment payments under 14 here. So let's say, for example, you've got a credit card, you've got a Capital One credit card, you're going to put Capital One there. You're going to put where it says 4, just put credit card. Under amount, you're going to put the average amount that you pay each month for that credit card. If you put $1,000 a month on that credit card, but that $1,000 is used to pay your groceries and household supplies and your clothing at the at the stores, or your entertainment, gifts, and vacations, and that number has already been included above, don't put it down here. Don't double it up. So if that's the case and you've already included those costs above, just put 0 here. Then balance. You're going to want to put the balance that you have or that you're carrying right now. So let's say if you've got a balance on your Capital One credit card of $2,200, and normally you pay $200 a month, you put 200 under amount. 2,200 or whatever your balance is under balance. And then under date of last payment. If it's been a couple months that you've paid, try to put the payment date, or at least the last month that you made that payment. If you're current on your bill and you remain current, you can write current in that space. Now, let's say you've got a car payment, and let's say you have, let's say you own a Mustang, and you pay it to Ford Motor Credit. Then you can put that Ford Motor Credit there. Under 4, you can put Mustang or automobile. Then under amount, you're going to put your monthly payment. Under balance, you're going to put the balance that you still owe on that car. Date of last payment. If you're current, put current. If you haven't paid it in a couple months, I'm sorry, but you're going to want to put that last date that you made that payment. And then follow this through for the rest of your installment payments. If you have an insurance, car insurance payment, that's a good place to put it. Let's say you've got it with AAA. Under 4, you're going to put auto insurance amount. If it's $226 a month, put whatever your amount of your monthly payment is. The balance. If you've got 2 more payments and then your insurance is paid off for the year, just add up whatever 2 payments remaining is and put that under balance. And of course, again, on the last payment, put current or whenever the last payment was. Now, going down to 15. If you are representing yourself and have always represented yourself in this case, you're not going to have any attorney's fees here. However, let's say that you did have an attorney, or you do have an attorney. You can put the amount of money that you have paid for your attorney's fees in that top box. The same number is going to go to the right on A. To date, I have paid my attorney this amount for attorney's fees and costs. If it's, $5,000, $10,000, $3,685, or $187,000, whatever the number is, you're going to put that in there. The source of this money was, so if you paid it with a credit card, put the credit card in there. If it was from savings, put savings. If it was from income from your employment, put that wherever the source was. 15C, I still owe the following fees and costs to my attorney. So let's say you used to have an attorney, you no longer have an attorney, but you still owe them $3,500. Put $3,500 in there. Under 15D, you're going to want to put your attorney's rate, $400 an hour, $500 an hour, $250 an hour, whatever that rate is, you're going to put that in there. And then, this is important, you're going to sign, you're going to date, well, this is for the attorney. So if you have an attorney and fees are owed and you still have an attorney, they're going to put their name and date and sign this. You don't have to sign here. Okay, then page 4. Very simple. We've moved on to, again, top of the page, petitioner, respondent, case number to the right. Then, under 16, 16A says I have, and they're asking for a number, children under the age of 18 with the other parent in this case. So if you guys have 2 children together, put a 2 in there. If you've got 4, put 4. If you've got only 1, obviously. Then B is the children spend, and they're asking for a percentage of time, of their time with me, and then the next box is percentage of time with the other parent. So if they spend 80% of the time with you and 20% of the time with the other parent, put that in there. Then the next box under there, that large box, it's asking you to explain the percentage of time. So if you have a timeshare and you know the schedule that you have with the other parent, put that in there. Or try to explain with a little bit of detail why you believe it's 80-20 or 70-30 or 50-50 or whatever it is. So write that in there. 17 is a box regarding health care expenses. So if you have insurance for the children through your employer, you're going to write, I do have health insurance available for me through the children. If you do not have health insurance available to you, put do not. Now, you could very well have insurance available through your employer, but not carrying it. You're still going to mark I do. Then under B, you're going to write the name of the insurance company, the insurance carrier for the health insurance, and the address of the insurance company under C. D is asking for the monthly health, the monthly cost for children's health insurance is or would be how much per month. So again, you could have health insurance available through your employer, but not using it. So if it would be $426 a month, that's where you're going to put that. All right, 18, additional expenses for the children in this case. 18A says child care so I can work or get job training. So this is where you put the total amount of child care that is being paid per month. So if it's $800 a month, put $800 a month there. If it's $1,100, put $1,100. 18B, children's health care not covered by insurance. So this is going to be the same number that you put in B, 13B on the prior page if you did not include the premiums. So let's go back to page 4, 18, 18B. Here's what I want you to do. I want you to use the same number. Use the same number you put in 13. I want you to put here. So if you did include the premium, include it here too. All right, 18C, travel expenses for visitation. That's in case, let's say, for example, you have to travel from the Bay Area to Southern California to visit your children, and you do that once a month. You're going to average that cost and put that in there. If you have to fly to Kentucky or Chicago to visit your kids, and you do that once every 2 months, you're going to want to put those average costs per month in there. 18D, children's educational or other special needs expenses. You're going to want to put that number, the average monthly for that, to the right, and you're going to want to explain it a little bit under the larger box there. Again, if you need more room, go to that attachment page you have and put 18 continued, and then write your explanation there. 19, special hardships. This is important, but rare. I asked the court to consider the following special financial circumstances, and you're going to want to attach any documentation of any item that you list below here, including any court orders for monies to be paid. 19A, extraordinary health expenses not included 18B above. So let's say, for example, Junior broke his arm and there was an $1,800 charge and it wasn't covered, or that was your portion of a payment that you had to make toward the insurance company or something, your percentage, 20% or 30% or something. You're going to want to write that in there. That's amount per month, or an average for how many months, or excuse me, and for how many months you're going to have to do that. So let's say, for example, there were some healthcare braces. You might want to put those in here. It's $200 a month, and it's going to be for 18 more months, something like that. Okay, major losses, under B, major losses not covered by insurance. So if there was fire, theft, other insured loss, you're going to want to put that in here. 19C, expenses for my minor children who are from other relationships and are living with me. So if you've got children from a prior relationship, you're going to want to name those children, and you're going to want to put how much per month each of those children cost generally. And then you're going to want to put a total on the bottom. Okay, and then 19C3, child support you receive for those children. So if the other parent of those children from another relationship are paying you $500 a month for child support, you put that in this box. All right. Now in here, the next box down, you'll see that it says the expenses listed in A, B, and C above create an extreme financial hardship because, and you're going to need to give the judge an explanation there. If you need more room, again, go to that extra paper that you had, and you can always put 19 continued, and then just put the explanation on that. 20 is a box specifically where you can put any additional information that you think that the court will need to that you want the court to know when making child support orders or spousal support orders. If you're recently unemployed and it may look suspicious, like you just quit your job because you just want to live on support, you can mention why you became unemployed there. Be careful. If you became unemployed because of something you did wrong, that's going to hurt you. So just keep in mind that you don't have to put anything in this box. And frankly, unless you get some advice on what to put in there, I would probably recommend that you don't put anything in there. All right, folks, guess what? That is the entire income and expense declaration. If you've missed anything, please rewind it, pause it, go back over it. I believe we've given you all the information that you need. I hope this video has been very helpful for you. I'm sure that it has been. Again, my name is Doug Pinkham with Pinkham & Associates, a dedicated family law firm in Orange County, California. Again, hope it's been helpful. Thank you very much for watching my video.